Hey there, welcome to Start Her Up. My name's Crystal Francis, and who are you?
I'm Jessica Saraj. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, this is our first episode. We are so excited.
I even
We have,
dressed up. You see that?
yes, and it's Halloween. It's Halloween today. So that's even more exciting. It's a busy day. It's an exciting day. So do you have any big plans tonight, Jess?
No, maybe. I'll tell you tomorrow what happened. You know how you make plans and then you're like hoping nobody calls you or remembers that you made plans and then you're like, maybe I won't go. Maybe they won't notice that I'm not coming.
Yes, I tend to do that a lot myself. You're so excited and you're motivated when the plan comes up, and then whenever you get there, it's like, do I really
Yeah.
want to get my jammies?
It's like I gotta leave the house after 7 o'clock. Oh my gosh.
You know, with us being, what are we considered? Like, we're not middle-aged yet, are we?
No, I think I am. I think I'm getting there.
I
I
don't
think,
think you hit middle age till your 50s.
is
You
it?
know,
Okay. I'm not
I
sure.
think, I don't know. One of our listeners, tell us what's middle aged, okay? I really don't know, but I feel like even for the generation under us, that's common now. They don't want to go out as much as like we did
I
when we
agree.
were
I
their
agree.
age. Like,
Well, if
it,
it's a giveaway, there's a plant, two plants behind me, so maybe I am considered middle aged. I'm the plant lady now.
well, the only reason mine back here survived is because it's not real. Um,
Oh, see, that makes sense.
Yeah, I like to consider myself the mafia of plants. If you bring it to me, it's guaranteed to die.
Oh my gosh, that's
I
terrible.
unlive plants. I don't know what it is. Outdoor ones, totally fine, but the indoor ones, I can't. I can't get it together. I don't
Yeah,
know what it is.
it's I don't know why, I don't know when it developed, but maybe because my house is so white, and that's when I started buying plants because it's cheaper than painting. I don't know, but yeah, me and my friends are the plant ladies, and sometimes we go a little wild with the herbs and the plants. But yeah,
Well, one day you'll have to teach me. I do have an aloe plant. His name is Spike. I've
nice.
managed to keep him alive. I've named him Spike, and he has babies all the time, so I guess it's probably a her.
Oh
But
yes, that is
so
true.
yeah, I have a bunch that I need to go give out to friends and things right now. I just spent some time repotting those, and they've survived. So um,
I love
I'm maybe in
aloe.
the recovery.
We can have a whole podcast about aloe vera just by
Okay.
itself, just the benefits and everything like that. So, but what
Yeah.
are we talking about today for real?
Okay, for real. Anyway, so this podcast is going to be about all things entrepreneurial, all things motivation. That's why it's called Start Her Up. We want to talk about motivating people to do the things that they love to do.
That's
And
right.
that's why we're here. Jess and I kind of found each other on accident, and we both have some very similar goals. So we actually are working on a real estate business together, launching it, getting that going. And we want to motivate people to have that same passion and desire. And if they do, to follow us on our journey and help you get there too, because we live in a world of abundance. And I totally believe that there's enough room here for everybody to succeed. And if we can help plant the seed and drive you to want to do something bigger than you think you can, like let us help you with that. What can we do to motivate everybody else out there as we're on
Mhm.
our journey,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
mean, maybe you have someone who, is thinking about, I don't know, starting a baking business, or
Mhm.
a balloon business, or, all kinds related to event planning, or maybe something we're not even thinking of right now, maybe some IT or some financing or investing or something like that. There's no small dream, right? Or not the opposite, right? There's no large dream, right? It's like we want to show you that we're just two regular people, trying to make it happen, trying to succeed, trying to motivate others, and try to raise the standard of what it is in our industry specifically. But maybe that's something true for you as well. So would love to follow us and join us.
Yeah, I don't remember who quoted it. I'll have to cite it later. But there is a quote out there where it says, if your dreams don't scare you, they're just not big enough. And I love
Hmm.
that because one of my favorite sayings, and it's actually my desktop background, and it's action is the antidote to fear. And I can
Oof.
cite that book in the notes too. That was off of a book. Her name's Jordan. I can't remember her last name right off the top of my head, but I'll cite it for you guys. It's a really great read. And she just talks about how chasing your dreams is facing your fears all in the same token. And it's so true. Like, if you don't have that pit in your stomach and you're not like, shit, this scares
Hmm.
me a little bit, um, you think bigger. You don't even have to share those dreams out loud. It was really funny where Jess and I realized that we were on the same plane with all this. We had filled out these surveys about like where we wanted to see our company go and things, and our ideas were identical, and we didn't see that coming. We were just like, "Oh, we found each other." You remember that?
I absolutely, because I've been telling you ever since, your vibe attracts your tribe. It really is.
Yeah.
It's just when you put yourself out there into making real major changes, all of a sudden you run into the person who either already went through those major changes or is going through them.
Yes. And even listening to Mel Robbins this morning as I was getting ready, she's one of my
Love
favorites.
her.
And I was
Five
listening to her.
minute, what is it called? What's her book
Yes,
called? 5 minute rule?
it is.
5 second rule.
Yes, where you just count back from five and you make yourself do it. And she was even saying this morning, she was recounting like her story. And like she used to be really unmotivated and she was going through it just like the rest of us do. And we have young kids and life gets hard, you know? And you hit the alarm 5 or 6 times and then you're up rushing and you start your day off bad and then
Mhm.
everything is just negative from there on out. And so if you just count backwards from five and make yourself get up and make yourself get started, you're already like subconsciously and outwardly giving yourself the power to do that. And are you going to hate it in the moment? Yeah. But 10 minutes later, it's going to be like, I'm so glad I did that. My day is not rushed.
You know when I use that rule to wash dishes, I I am someone who enjoys doing dishes like after I'm doing them, but the thought of starting to wash dishes is just unbearable. And so I use that rule all the time actually.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm only gonna wash, 5 dishes and then I'm done. And I end up, doing the whole thing.
Yes, mine's laundry. Mine's laundry.
Oh, there
And
you
my
go.
husband, he absolutely, that's our biggest like thing is that I will put it off until I am out of clothes.
Now I know
And
why you shop online so much.
yes, I might have a small TikTok shop problem.
I know
So,
you could shop on TikTok. That maybe I am a middle-aged woman. I didn't even know of that, the shopping part. I thought it was just videos.
well, forever as I was like navigating TikTok and learning TikTok, I was too scared to try it. And then one day I did, and I realized I could use Apple Pay, and I
Oh,
didn't have
that's
to
it.
give them my card number.
Game is over when they
It's
accept
over.
Cash.
Yeah, they've just made it too as easy to spend money. I don't even have to go get my purse or know my credit card number, just my face.
So they get you,
So
man. We can do a whole other podcast about that. Ways
we
to stop
can
shopping online
absolutely we can do a
to better.
podcast about anything. Um, so anyway, so that's the main goal here is we just want to encourage you guys as you're launching. It doesn't matter what it is. I feel like an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Like it's um I was in a tea shop yesterday. She has a tea shop and she's fantastic. And she was telling me how awesome it is just having other entrepreneurs like myself come in and just because we understand each other, we understand
Mhm.
what it takes to get there and the dedication of it. And at the end of the day, it's not pretty. It's not cute. It's not fun. It's not what you see on social media whenever you see these big names come out and they're like, yeah, it's this. No, there's days you go to bed exhausted.
Yeah.
There's days you're crying and just stressed. But does that mean the dream goes away? Not at all.
Not at all. As a matter of fact, it's the difficulties that make you stronger and make you, um, feel more proud of yourself when you overcome those
Mhm.
difficulties, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is that for me, the struggle is that I'm 37. I've been doing real estate for going on 8 years. And I'm
Wow.
just hitting a point where it's like I feel confident enough to get out there and be able to express the things that have gotten me this far before. And I don't know how you relate with this, Jess, is before it was like I've come from pretty humble beginnings, super humble beginnings. And you get kind of caught in this web that if that's where you're at, that's where you stay.
Mm.
And I very much learned that doesn't have to be the case. Matter of fact, I saw one of my old teachers the other day, and we were talking about that. She was like, I was like, did you ever expect this is where I would be? And she was like, no,
Oh,
no.
that's
She
nice.
was like, you were the quiet kid, like you just never like spoke, and she's like, you're not even the same person.
Oh, isn't that great? I
It's
always
so
say, don't forget where you're coming from
yes,
to see where you're going, you know?
yes, yep. And I think that there's a Kevin Hart quote. He has a couple really good books too. They're audiobooks. I'm a nerd. But
That's why
and
we're
something that
friends.
he said, oh yes, yes. And one of the things that in one of his books that really stuck with me, he goes, the only reason you should ever be looking back is to see how far you've come.
Mhm.
And I love that. I absolutely love that, and I agree. So if you're coming to this podcast and you're like, well, this is where I've come from. Why should I be able to be successful? Well, my question to you is why not you? Why not?
Absolutely. I'm all about changing the family tree, changing the dynamic of your
Hmm.
past. I don't know if you guys are a fan of Dr. Laura, but she's got a couple of good quotes, and one of them is the parent-child relationship you had when you were a child does not have to be repeated when you are the parent. I'm not a parent, but I think that is true for even people that don't have children. We don't have to repeat the patterns, the family patterns we're coming from. And like you said, it doesn't matter what your background is, no matter how humble, it was, you can make a difference. It's 2024. There's a lot of people making a lot of money from the comfort of their home, doing businesses that we never even imagined that existed before, even 10 years ago.
Oh, 100%. There's with the World Wide Web, it's at your fingertips. If you have a passion, go out there, look for it,
Hmm.
try it. If you feel like, what is the rest of the world gonna say? Who cares? Who cares?
I
They're gonna
agree.
talk. They're gonna talk anyway. So what's the saying that um, all press is good press?
That's easier said than done.
It
Um,
is. It is.
you know, I sold Subarus for a whole year because to me that was sales university, right? I wanted to know, just because you have a talent doesn't mean that you're good at it, right? And I have a talent for talking to people. I'm very bold when it comes to meeting people, but I wanted to get into the sales niche because my background is in accounting, so very different, from accounting to sales. And one of the things that I remember thinking is, oh my gosh, what are people gonna think that I'm a car saleswoman? Because there's the connotation, right? It's
Yeah.
even a saying, right? Like you sound like an old car salesperson. It's like I'm actually doing it, I'm actually doing it. So what are people gonna think? And I struggled with that for a couple of months, but I tell you what, after I saw my first big paycheck, I was like, I don't care what people think, because at the end of the day, you know, you don't we think we are big enough in other people's lives and worlds and planets, and that's not true. Everybody has their own thing going. Everybody has
Hmm.
their own struggles. Everybody's worried about their own life
Yes.
to be worried about your life. And I'm sure I'm forgetting another key element here, but that helped me overcome, those days at working at Subaru. But honestly, people forget you.
They do.
So if you sell, something to somebody today, they won't even remember you 3 weeks from today. That's how quick our memory is to forget,
Yeah. And something that's kind of something that my 13-year-old and I talk about. Being 13, it's a lot. There's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of like hormones, all the things. And so her and I talk about it regularly. She'll be like, "Well, I can't go to school looking like that or wearing that
Mm,
because what are people going to think of me? Mom, I heard people talking today and I know they were whispering about me." And she's just
that's
a
tough.
little paranoid. And so I've had these conversations with her and I broke it down in a way where it didn't sound as careless as it's getting ready to come out. But I'm like, Addison, what you need to understand, and I wish I did at your age, is that people don't care. People don't care. Maybe
Mhm.
you're what's in front of them and they're going to poke at the moment, but they're not going home and thinking about you. They're absolutely not. They don't, after in that moment, that says more about their character than yours
Mhm.
because you're striving to be who you are. And if it's their internal struggle, that's their problem. But that shouldn't stop you from being who you are. Because in 5 minutes, when they walk away after they've said whatever you think they've said or they have said, it's not another thought in their mind. They don't know what they're putting on repeat in your head.
100%, especially with social media, I think you touch on two important points. One is the peer pressure that exists today, not just on teenagers, but also,
Yeah.
people our age. And then
Hmm.
the other thing is with social media and the TV and all these activities we have, even in, the palm of our hand on our phone, people suffer from like the squirrel syndrome, right? Like whatever I said right now, it's going to be forgotten as soon as I get on Facebook or Instagram or other social media platform. And I'm going to be dinging and scrolling and I'm going to be forgetting what was said or what was done, you know?
Exactly. And,
Mm.
we put a lot of emphasis of what we see on social media. And I know this is talked about a lot. Like, just because someone shows you on social media who they want to depict themselves as, you'd have no idea what's going on.
Oh, 100%. By the
Like,
way, if you were to look at my camera to my left, I have an extra pair of shoes on the floor. But so I'm just giving an example of, sometimes we just see what we see on the screen, but we're not seeing like what's around the person.
yeah,
I just heard of a crazy story online. This influencer was touring a home. Speaking of real estate, right? This
yeah,
person was touring a home, like, I don't know how she got in, but anyway, saying that it was a brand new house, that she had purchased that home. Well, the owner, the real owner, came forward and said, this is not her house. I don't know this person. So that, again, I don't know how the story came about because he wasn't aware that this person, was saying that she had purchased this home, but definitely not her house and definitely not the owner. And so, it's just interesting how people can create the illusion, the perception that something is
yeah.
bigger, better, greater than it really is.
For sure. People think perception is reality, and that's true in some sense. Perception is, whoever around you's reality, but it may not be actual reality.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's crazy.
it
It's crazy how
it's
social media does that.
and it just creates so much pressure around kids, adults, especially in the entrepreneurial, field.
Mhm.
Um, like the other day, I had posted some content in regards to real estate, just talking about the market, how there's more houses available than there was, there's more inventory, and some guy jumps on my TikTok, and I don't have a ton of viewers. Like, it's not outrageous. I think I have like under 300 followers. It's not a huge deal. But out of this blue, the guy comes on and he starts talking about how all realtors are liars and, we're nothing but used car salesmen because there is
There
that
you go.
connotation you spoke of. And, you know, that can really get to somebody if
Mhm.
you're not in the right mindset. Like, you can sit and ruminate on that. But like that guy did his keyboard warrior thing, hopped off, and went on with his life. He's not worried about the impact on the person he said it to. And that's the big thing right now is where all the bullying's coming from is that
Hmm.
people like they're just keyboard warriors. They're just as concerned as you are in their own capacity when people do it to them. And it's just like, what's the point? But I did jump on and I did a quick reply video and I just said, I'm really sorry for whatever experience you had to make you feel that way because that's just, why would you lump a person you've never met into a group of something that is in your reality, but like it's like
Yeah, that
saying,
maybe only happened once, in his life.
yeah, like you met one bad car salesman, you met one bad realtor. They exist. They absolutely do. They absolutely do. But to attack my character, like I wasn't worried about it, but I just wanted him to think about that on his
And
own.
and you weren't even talking about a controversial topic. It
No.
was just, hey, here's a fact of numbers and statistics. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I wrote it down, keyboard warrior.
Yes. Yeah, and yeah, like you said, it wasn't even like that deep with the video. It was just some super basic facts. One of those super boring real estate videos that every agent puts out that,
Yeah,
you listen to if it's important to you, like it wasn't. So it can be that easy. And I did say when I was on there, just because I'm not offended. Like if they feel that way, I'm sorry for whatever happened to them. I really am. I'm sorry that they have to feel that way or they're small-minded enough to feel that way without looking at the bigger picture.
I
But I
agree.
also was like, oh my gosh, guys, I finally made it on TikTok. I got my first hate comment. I'm so
I
excited.
love
It's
it.
Lord.
Good job.
Like, because I don't want people to take it seriously. I don't want people to think like, oh, they made fun of me. Now I'm not going to sleep tonight. I'm going to toss and turn. Like, at the
Hmm.
end of the day, do you think he's thought about me again? No.
Oh, and the only
No.
reason we're talking about him is to give an example to our audience that you're gonna have bad comments. It's gonna happen. And guess what?
Yeah.
Not everybody's gonna like you. And not everybody's gonna agree with you. And that's great. That's what makes us, human, right? Like there's division and there's like different perspectives and different ideas and thoughts and that's great, and with this podcast we're putting ourselves out here giving our opinion based on our experience and our lives, just to motivate other people, right? Kind of to bring it all circle around,
Yeah.
based on our perspectives, right? But somebody else may come in and have a different perception of what it takes to be successful. And that's great. You should listen to them as well, because maybe you will make your own baking formula of success, let's
Yeah.
call it, right?
There's never one formula. There's always, multiple formulas actually. The old saying that there's only one way to skin a cat. Okay, but like that's not the case anymore, I really don't think so. Like even in our business, we're like, okay, well, Tom Ferry said this or, Brian Buffini said this. We're picking and choosing and what fits our model, our personality, and what
Yeah,
we
and
think we can accomplish and what we're willing to do on each day.
yeah, and who we're trying to target, right? You keep hear me say this, but it's so true. Your vibe attracts your tribe, and maybe I don't want to attract people that live, across the city because I'm more knowledgeable in the area that I live than across the state line, right?
Right.
Um, maybe I'm not someone who understands what it's like to live in a condo because you know, I only lived a very short amount of time and I was renting. So your niche is so important. Finding who you are, who you want to attract, I think it's like the basis of the formula.
I agree. And something that Jess and I talked about very quickly as we have put all this together and strategized is one of the biggest things is sitting down and figuring out what you're willing to do. Because, like, for us, like, one of the big things is cold calling and door knocking. And I had said to Jess, like, I have no interest in door knocking. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So
Yeah,
being very
I think
clear.
you said something like, "I'll chop my hair off before I go door knocking."
Yeah, yeah. And to me, it's just more of a safety issue. Like, people don't like people knocking on doors. And like, I would be willing to go put things more of like on their doorknob and, say hi to the Ring camera. That would be okay, but I don't want to interrupt their evening if they've got a baby sleeping and someone else might tell me that's ridiculous and that's wrong and that's okay. Like that's okay. And that's where it comes to like different formulas. That's in their formula, but I'm going to find a way to succeed without that piece.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of our industry, you know. You can come from any background, have any set of skills, and you're gonna make it if you know you're disciplined and I always say respect the book, right? Like if you follow
Yeah.
the rules and you're aware of how the contract works and all those little details that make a great agent work. And one of the key elements that I always think about too that makes a great agent is their emotional intelligence. And again, we can talk about a whole podcast episode
Yeah.
about emotional intelligence, but it's so true, you know. Uh, I mean, I told you the story of my friend who bought a condo in downtown Denver, right? Like very nice area, very nice building. And the listing agent, so our mutual friend is also a realtor. And so our friend was trying to book a showing for him to show him this condo. And the listing agent was putting all kinds of, but do you have this? But do you have this? But I thought you were going to look at this other place. But I thought you wanted it smaller. Like just let him look at the place. And maybe that's something that the seller wasn't even aware that their own agent is putting all this, bumps into selling the property.
Well, when it comes to real estate, specifically, and I'm sure it applies in other industries too, whenever you approach your client and you ask them what they want, say you're with a first-time home buyer, they may not know what they want because they don't know. You don't know until you know. So you may end up finding them a property completely different than what they originally thought. And if you find that pattern, that's when you stop and say, okay, I think we need to reevaluate what we're looking at. I think what your ideas in the beginning and what they are now have changed now that you have a grasp on the process.
Yep.
So what can we do to adjust to that and, just not trying to box people in like that. You can't, and just an emotional intelligence to pick up on things like that. You're right. Absolutely.
100%. Just being flexible. And I mean, I know that happened to me when I bought my last property. My now ex and I were looking at homes in, a certain price range. But then we went a little over and we found the perfect place. And our listing agent, or our buyer, I'm sorry, it was the buyer's agent. Our agent was like, well, you told me that you don't want to spend over this much. And we're like, how do you know, what is it that we will want? And so people are willing to stretch their budget, stretch their city limits, stretch all kinds of things if they find the right place. And you're right, we should not box them in. But you said you wanted a red door, It's like, forget that. Be flexible.
If it's a green door, you can always paint it red. Hell, I'll come help you. It's just being able to connect with people. And I think the biggest thing in any industry is you have to have a passion for what you're doing. So I think you have to have a passion. Like I have a passion for real estate, and we'll get into the story one day of how that came to be. Because again, I'm not 20 years ago, I never would have seen myself here ever. It wasn't on my like grandiose list. I was going to be a country singer, okay, guys? Like,
oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Kindergarten graduation, we had to come out and say what we were going to be when we grew up, and I was going to be a country western singer. I was going to be the next Shania Twain, y'all. Okay.
Oh, I'll have to go karaoke night and test those skills.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm a little rusty, but but I can be Shania Twain all day in the car. My kids love it. But and so you don't realize your path obviously that early, but it's so funny, even from high school, even stuck through high school. I had actually had scholarships to college for music.
Wow.
Did you?
I can't wait to hear that background story.
Yeah. I was in the marching band, dorky hat and all. So that is not the path I ended up taking. And even though my path segued and changed, that's okay because I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And you know you're right where you're supposed to be whenever it feels right. Maybe I'm not going to say easy because nothing that is worth it is going to be simple. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it. But
Hmm.
if it feels right, you can literally feel it in your bones. Do you agree with that, Jess?
Oh my gosh, 100%. When you wake up in the morning and you're happy to learn more about your craft and get better and master it, and like we talked about, right? And then be willing to teach others, it's
Yeah,
like you've made it. You're in the right place.
absolutely. Yeah. I'm saying absolutely a lot. Just realized that. But totally agree with that. You don't if you can't sing, like obviously you shouldn't go be Shania Twain. You can still love it. You can sing in the shower. I do it all the time, but but it doesn't feel right. That's going to be a really rocky path. But I'm not discouraging anybody from doing that. If you want to go take the music lessons and learn all of those things, go for it. However, like whenever you hit your stride, you definitely can feel it. And if you would have told me that even 10 years ago, I would have been like, really though?
I
But
know.
it's definitely every day is about growth and just opening your mind further and exploring what you can do, you know?
I agree. And I know we're going to wrap it up here soon, but I wanted to say that that's exactly what happened to me when I went into real estate school, right? To get my license, my first license. Uh, we live in the Kansas City metro, so which means you have both the Kansas side and the Missouri side. And so the Missouri side has a 40% passing rate. Did you know that?
I
Kansas
did. Yeah.
has an 80% passing rate. So I was like, oh man, I wish I lived in Kansas. But I had to go to school, and it was an 8-hour long day, and it was a 2-week intense course. And the minute that I realized that I was getting it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually understanding this. Like I'm understanding the bundle of rights, and I'm understanding, the party rights and all this things that we need to know to pass the exam and just to know in general. But I was like, I'm understanding this, and I'm remembering things. And I passed it the first time, and I was like, and you're right. When you are on the right path, the doors, the floodgates open, right? And your mind is aware, and you're able to move forward without difficulty.
And then, like, getting up and hitting the snooze button automatically happens less because you enjoy what you're doing. Do you enjoy it every day? No, just like any other field. There's days I'm like, ugh, and I'm sure you feel that too, but you don't give up on your passion over a hard day. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that. And I think with that, we can wrap it up. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much for watching. I hope you join us next time.
All right, everybody have a great day, and we can't wait to have you listen in on the next episode. Again, we're Starter Up. I'm Jessica and Crystal. Tune in. We're going to be filming or more. We're going to be posting preferably about once a week, I think is the goal to have a new episode weekly. So come join us and see what's new. And if you have anything you want us to talk about, let us know, okay?
Thanks, guys.
Bye.